Good day, this is OPV 222 group assignment. Meet the group: Baba Lokhole, Mokhomane Mushidi, Zeluis Mudimula, Makweba Malihu. Inclusive education. Inclusive education means that learners attend and are welcomed by their neighborhood schools in age-appropriate, regular classes and are supported to learn, contribute, and participate in all aspects of the life of the school. Inclusive education is about how we develop and design our schools, classroom programs, and activities so that all students learn and participate together. Background. Traditional pedagogy. The education was often standardized with one type of curriculum where students were focused only on their skills of recalling. The diverse needs of learners were not even considered, and they were often labeled as incompetent or lazy. Present pedagogy. One of the key features of this shift is the recognition of diverse learning styles and the need for the differentiated instruction. Educators are encouraged to tailor their teaching methods to meet the varying needs of students, recognizing that each learner has a unique way of processing information. Objectives: inclusive education,
paradigm shift toward education,
learning barriers, aspects of learning support. Inclusive education. Principle of inclusive education. We have diversity and individuality, equality and access, respect and dignity, participation and collaboration, support and flexibility. Aims of inclusive education: identification of skill to prepare for new challenges, development of brotherhood and sisterhood, education of all. Goals of inclusive education: effective educational environments. All students shall be allowed to participate. All children can learn and reach their full potential. Awareness and support.
Paradigm shift towards inclusive education. The paradigm shift towards inclusive education can become a way of moving from a negative approach, which is the medical model that labels the category of the needs to implement the kind of support the learners may need to be competent. This movement focuses on the level and type of support needed and not on the category of disability. It allows us to view the learners as differently abled, not disabled. Medical vs. social model. Medical model. The medical view disability as a problem that exists within the individual and needs to be fixed, cured, or managed. In this framework, the focus is on the diagnosis and the treating of the individual condition, and it emphasizes limitations rather than possibilities. Social model. The social model shifts the focus away from the individual and places it on the societal and environment barriers. That disability is created by how the society is structured, by the lack of accommodation that allows people with different abilities to participate fully. Characteristics of social model. Instead of focusing on fixing, the social model calls for change to school teaching practice and the learning environment to make them inclusive for all learners. Learners with disability are seen as active participants with the right to equal access of education rather than specialized care. Inclusive education program. Effective educational environments. All students shall be allowed to participate. All children can learn and reach their full potential. And lastly, awareness and support.
learning barriers. A learning barrier is anything that prevents children from learning successfully. Throughout the schooling, a learner may face one or more learning difficulties. A child with a handicap perceives their condition as inherent impediment to acquiring knowledge and might need varied amount of assistance to achieve their maximum educational potential. Challenges and roadblocks to learning: a lack of resources, teachers training, attitude and stigma, language barrier, and inequality. Intrinsic and extrinsic barrier. Intrinsic barrier are the personal attitude, beliefs, and health conditions that hinder a person's participation in the learning process or that negatively affect its results. Extrinsic barriers. Extrinsic barriers to learning refer to external factors that hinder a person's ability to learn. This can include limited access to resources, lack of support from teachers or peers, and environmental factors such as noise or distraction. Strategies to improve inclusive education in South African classroom. Abstractness. Some children may not be able to grasp abstract concepts such as numbers straight away. Using counters is a good way to build children up to working with abstract numbers. Complexity. Some children may find topics complex and difficult to understand. Variety. It's important to vary classrooms' content to cater different needs, expanding the curriculum by giving children who are excelling in topic in a topic new material to stop them from getting bored.
Aspects of learning support. School is more than just a place for academic learning. It's a space where students develop not only their intellect but also their character and values. Creating a positive school culture is essential to ensure that students thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Mainstream and inclusive schools. Mainstream schools are the inclusion of learners with special needs into general education settings or regular schools. Mainstream education settings should ensure that the needs of all students are addressed and that all barriers that can potentially hinder their participation be removed. Thus include mainstream settings should provide inclusive and accessible schools infrastructure, learning methods and pedagogies, as well as teaching and learning materials, among others. Inclusive education is the most effective way to give all children a fair chance to go to school, learn and develop the skills they need to thrive. Inclusive education means all children in the same classroom, in the same school. It means real learning opportunities for groups who have traditionally been excluded, not only children with disabilities, but speakers of minority languages too. Role of schools in creating and supportive school environment. Creating an inclusive culture, adapting the curriculum, promoting inclusive extracurricular activities, individualized learning. Roles of teaching in creating an inclusive classroom. Identification and support, facilitating supportive learning, promote positive behavior, modify assignments and assessments. Conclusion. Key facts about inclusive education. Inclusive education fosters a sense of belonging, making all learners feel appreciated in the classroom. It promotes social integration in which learners of various skills and backgrounds share the same classroom community, resulting in stronger social bonds and better emotional well-being. Inclusive education ensures that all learners have equal access to educational resources and opportunities regardless of aptitude.